All right, the next time that we meet in class, we are going to be starting an activity or series of activities to study some of the more practical applications of energy in our own lives. And so the background information that you need is you need to know a little bit about kinetic energy, which I'll address in this set of notes. And you also need to know a little bit about potential energy, which will be addressed in the next set of notes. And you have to have these filled in when you get to class so that you have the background information to apply to some later activities that we will do and where we will use this information. So make sure you get these filled in. You should have this sheet in front of you. The energy activity packet should have been handed out to you in class. And the first thing I want to do is just define kinetic energy. We're going to talk about kinetic energy and then potential energy. And kinetic energy is the energy of, oops, if I had my pen, the energy of motion. So anything that is moving has kinetic energy, and you've hopefully already been introduced to that sort of basic idea in previous science classes. But we're going to talk about 4 types of kinetic energy because there can be different types of movement. So we'll kind of move clockwise. Electrical energy is the movement of electrons, and you should be pretty familiar with what an electron is after going through most of chemistry. So examples of this that we deal with in our daily life are lightning and also electricity. We're pretty dependent in our society on electricity. We learn that as soon as the power goes out. We also encounter the energy of sound. You're using it right now to hear what I'm saying. So this is the movement of energy through substances that travel in waves. And you will learn a lot more about this when you take physics if you have not already. There's also just the general energy of actual physical motion. So this would be the movement of a substance from one place to another. And you might be thinking that sounds kind of vague, but we actually use this energy of motion more and more frequently to produce electricity and other types of usable energy for us. So this little icon up here actually links to a graphic that we'll look at in future pages of this activity book, but this is sort of a basic diagram of a windmill or a wind turbine. So more and more we are using wind turbines that connect to generators and convert this energy of motion into electrical energy. And this little graphic here, some water droplets, are talking about something called hydropower, which converts the energy of moving water into electricity. And these are all things that we will be looking into a little bit more later in class. Thermal energy, in other words, heat, is what we've been studying in more specific detail in the thermochemistry packet. But this is referring to the internal energy of a substance that is caused by the movement of atoms and also molecules. And this little icon here is a picture of the core of the Earth, because the Earth actually has a huge amount of stored heat energy at its core, and we can actually tap this and use it to heat water, for example, which can then be used to heat buildings and homes, and there's other applications of that. And so when we are converting the Earth's internal energy into energy that we can use, we call it geothermal heat. Geo for earth and then thermal for heat. And the last type is radiant energy. You were briefly introduced to this in your earth science class, if you took it already. And so that is electromagnetic energy. It also travels in waves, just in a slightly different way than sound energy. And so you see this little icon here, this is the sun, right? So you may or may not be aware, but more and more frequently, solar panels are being used to convert this radiant energy from the sun into electrical energy. And there's actually a number of locations in southeast Detroit where these solar panels have started to be installed to do this. So we will sort of jump into more depth and study of these different types of energy and how we encounter them in our daily lives when you get to class. But the next thing you need to do is open up the next video lecture on types of potential energy.